As a pure democracy, Orissa policies are premised on the will of the people. It aligns itself with other democracies in maintaining the peace in Zamia. Orissa's advanced technology made it the first nation in Zamia to create, manufacture, and distribute UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, also known as drones. Orissa's state-of-the-art drones are sold to all nations in Zamia. The initial purpose for the creation of Orissa's drones was for domestic surveillance and reporting of weather, climate, and environmental change in Orissa's geographical territory. Their use was then extended by a vote of the people to safeguard against citizen casualties in the event of national disasters such as floods, earthquakes, fires, or outside aggression. Other countries approached Orissa with the prospect of procuring drones for their countries, with the same intended purpose for which Orissa had manufactured their drones. We generously sent drones to other countries in the spirit of cooperation and shared mission. We were distressed to learn that certain countries began to use the drones for purposes other than those identified in their initial requests. Our current technologies are now in the hands of regimes which Orissans find contrary to their democratic principles. Reports are that drones are being used for surveillance of private citizens and other countries. We are alarmed that the purpose of drones for national security are now being modified to use in potentially hostile actions by states and non-state actors whose intentions are not known. As a peaceful and neutral nation, our drone policy prohibits the use of drones for any purpose other than providing national security in the form of preventative measure. Orissa is cognizant of the use of drones by authoritarian regimes who have appropriated them for their political and military agenda. As a member of the Democratic Alliance, we are most concerned and believe a transparent international policy must be adopted that would keep track of drones, define their capacity and operation. Our Orissan personnel are trained to report hourly on events that may affect Orissa's stability. Surveillance is 24 hours, 7 days a week, all year long, and limited to Orissa's own territorial boundaries. As a sovereign democratic nation, we are prohibited from using drones to violate the privacy and civil liberties of our citizens or those of any outside nations and their citizens. Trespassing into another country is a violation of our policy. Our policy prohibits drones in the surveillance of other countries. We condemn the use of drones in warfare or targeted killings. Orissa proposes the following. We urge all Zamia's nations to collectively agree to collaborate and adopt policies that would condemn the use of drones in acts of aggression and punish those states with economic sanctions who violate said agreement. We understand that such nations may be hurt by these sanctions, and those most vulnerable citizens of these violating countries, but believe that individual self-determination will resolve if the regime in which they live under is in their best interest to support or sustain. While we respect the right of countries to determine their own policies, we are concerned that certain authoritarian regimes' sovereignty, which is limited to the will of the few, will attempt to impose their ideology on other nations. These authoritarian regimes do not recognize people as the authority by which they exist. They have used drones for surveillance of private individuals and for espionage in other countries. Drones' use has become polluted for purposes not in accordance with democratic ideology. Orissa condemns these practices.